In this video, we describe the difference between a transfer and a restore. We'll also go over when each is necessary. Let's say you just bought a new computer or server and you need to reinstall your tax programs, or you had an issue with the software and you reinstalled it. With ProSeries reinstalled, your home base is empty. How do you get the clients back into home base? Should you transfer your clients or should you restore them? Let's take a closer look. Transferring a client file in ProSeries means the program will look backwards for the prior year data. When the client file is selected for transfer, its data will be migrated and changed to the current year's file format. For example, a file named johnsmith.18i will be transferred and become johnsmith.19i. Note that specific data pertinent to the new tax year are brought forward. Such things as identifying information about the clients, W-2s, etc. are brought forward. For purposes of this video though, we will not discuss the items that transfer. Instead, we focus solely on the transfer and restore process. Now that we considered what transferring a file means, let me do a brief demonstration to reinforce how it works. I opened both ProSeries 2017 and 2018 to provide a comparison. As you can see, I have a tax return I completed in 2017. ProSeries 2018's home base is empty and it has no clients. I'll begin by transferring the 2017 tax file from the File menu. Notice the 2017 client file, it already appears in the screen. This is because step 2 of the transfer is pointing to where my prior year client file is stored. Now I'll select the client file and click on step 5 to begin the transfer. The transfer is complete. Now that the tax client is transferred, I'm going to open it and complete the return with some basic inputs. This year there are no changes with the employer, so I'll just enter the year's wages and correct the errors before saving and exiting the file. This file is now ready for e-file or to print and mail. Now that we understand what a transfer is, what is a restore and how is it different? Restoring a client file brings back the data in its original state, and this is the key. It's restored in the current year's tax program. In other words, restore is used to bring back tax data that was completed and filed in the current year. I'll do a brief demonstration to show how restore works. On the desktop in a folder called Data Backup, I have a backup of my Barista tax file from tax year 2018. I'm going to restore the file back into ProSeries 2018. As before, I'll use the File menu and browse to the Client File Maintenance option and click on Restore. Then I'll click on the Browse button to locate the tax file I saved on the desktop. Then I'll select it and click on Restore. In this case, I didn't need to browse for it. It's already set to locate the file from the data backup directory on the desktop. So I will select the client file and click on Restore Clients. The client file is now restored. Now I'm going to open the client file and notice that the data that I entered originally is still intact. I'm going to exit the file and save. The restore was successful and complete. Hopefully, the demonstrations was able to distinguish between a transfer and a restore. It's critical to understand the differences between the two functions and what they do. Remember, a transfer brings forward a client file from the prior year and creates a client file for the current year. In other words, transferring client data is usually done in the beginning of the tax year when the software is first installed. The data that's brought forward is for tax preparation. A restore, on the other hand, brings a client file from the current year back into the current year tax program. A word of caution, do not transfer client files from the prior year because they will not have the current year tax data. Always restore the current year client files back into the current year program. Always take the proper precaution to safeguard the data regardless of the tax year. Some good advice to follow. We hope this video was helpful. Thank you for listening.